Thank you for having us. At the very beginning, can you tell me about your background and your relationship with the steel industry?
Well, I've worked for the union since 1986 as what we call a staff representative, various positions within the union, a district director in our state of Ohio, vice president of our union, and then since September of last year, I've been the international president.
Thank you. Right, and steel seems to be an historically and culturally important industry in the U.S. I'd like to hear the union's perspective on the importance of the steel industry and U.S. steel.
Obviously, the industry in America is very important to us in terms of supplying not only our infrastructure, our automobile, tin products, can products, employs tens of thousands of our members.
So, and as an American who has been connected to the steel industry your entire life, what did it feel like when you heard that US Steel was being acquired by a Japanese company?
First of all, we first became aware of Nippon's bid for US Steel in December of last year, December 18th of last year. We were disappointed. Nippon, if they did their due diligence within US Steel, understood that we had a collective bargaining agreement with US Steel that provides us with information before a transaction takes place. There was no contact with Nippon. They disrespected our union, disrespected our members by not reaching out to us and talking to us about what their plans were and what their intent was with the facilities. So since that time, Nippon has said on several occasions they would like to develop a positive relationship. They should have thought about that before they announced the transaction.
Oh, I see. And what kind of problems and concerns do you think the acquisition of US Steel by Nippon?
We have a collective bargaining agreement with US Steel that requires any purchaser to meet a successorship clause. In this case, the way the transaction has been framed, Nippon will not be the parent company that's signing the contract, and therefore they're not a qualified successor under our language.
I believe that many Japanese companies, for example, automobile industry, are making a lot of investments and creating jobs in the United States. What do you think of Japanese companies?
I don't have a problem with Japanese companies who are qualified signatories to our labor agreements or who promote industry in the United States. Again, Nippon, under the transaction that's been proposed with US Steel, does not meet the qualifications under our collective bargaining agreement. That's our opposition. I have a long-standing relationship with many different Japanese companies, and for many years worked with Nippon Kokan at the national steel level. And we had good relationships there. But they also respected us in terms of sharing information with us and talking with us and making sure that our collective bargaining agreements were in place. Nippon has failed to do that.
The Vice President Mori of Nippon Steel met you to discuss their policies, and they also sent a letter to you on March 27th. But your statement yesterday makes clear you don't trust them at this time. How do you evaluate the actions taken by Nippon Steel so far?
What Mr. Mori has defined as a commitment letter has many outs in it that does not make any kind of solid commitment, nor does it meet the requirements of our collective bargaining agreement.
So you said just a piece of paper or something meaningless?
It was meaningless because there were so many qualifications in the letter that would, in fact, not make Nippon responsible for the collective bargaining agreement that represents our members and our retirees.
Yeah. All right, and you also said in the statement yesterday that if the Nippon Paris would like to meet to discuss the status of the transaction in the coming weeks, we can do so. Am I correct in understanding that there is still a path to an agreement between Nippon Paris and USW?
At this point, no. Clearly, based on what they've said and what the transaction provides, Nippon is, as the parent, would have to sign a collective bargaining agreement, and they've refused to do that.
So, what commitment from Nippon Paris would sufficiently address your concerns and make the sale of US Steel acceptable for USW?
Under the transaction documents that they've filed with the government and with their stockholders, Nippon Steel is not a qualified successor. So the transaction would have to be completely redone.
Could you elaborate on why Nippon is not the successor of the transaction?
Our agreement says that the ultimate parent must sign the collective bargaining agreement. Nippon has told us, and the transaction clearly states, that US Steel will remain the company, again, not the ultimate parent. If they would fail, Nippon Steel North America would then guarantee that contract, again, not the ultimate parent. Nippon would be the ultimate parent, and they've, under the transaction, refused to sign the collective bargaining agreement.
So what, if anything, could Nippon Steel do to gain your support?
I think the transaction would have to be redone.
All right, and a proposed takeover by Cleveland-Cliffs is on the table again, but it's seen as less feasible because due to the antitrust issues. How do you see Cliffs' acquisition?
Currently, the only transaction that's on the table is the transaction between Nippon and US Steel. Whether Cleveland-Cliffs makes a bid in the future or not, we would have to look at it at that point.
Do you think is it a realistic alternative by the bid of Cliffs?
It may be. We would have to see what their bid is going forward. Certainly, we've given our right to bid to Cleveland-Cliffs, but US Steel did not accept that bid. So it would have to be another transaction that would take place.
All right, thank you.
In terms of our relationship with US Steel, we have a very positive relationship with Cleveland-Cliffs, but we have very positive relationships with many other employers in this country as well.
Okay, thank you. And President Biden stated it is vital for US Steel to remain an American steel company that is domestically owned and operated. What exactly do you think domestically owned and operated means? Some people in Japan believe that this leaves open to the possibility of a takeover of Nippon Steel. What do you think about that?
I think the President's statement goes to our national security issues around maintaining blast furnace operations here in the U.S. Nippon's track record in shutting down blast furnaces in Japan and their relationship with joint ventures in China, I believe, gives the administration concerns about future national security issues.
Thank you. And the meeting between Japan's Prime Minister Kishida and President Biden will be held on April 10th next week. In Japan, some people expect that the acquisition by Nippon Steel Corporation will be a topic of the summit meeting. What do you wish President Biden would say to Japan's Prime Minister Kishida?
I don't know what the President will say. I hope that he recognizes our concerns that Nippon is not a qualified successor for the agreement under our collective bargaining agreement, and also recognize that there would be national security issues.
We know USW officially announced its endorsement for President Biden on March 20th. Right before that, President Biden issued a statement on US Steel on the 14th. Did this statement influence your decision to endorse Mr. Biden?
No. Our decision to endorse President Biden comes from our members' input, from our surveys that we've done over the last several months, and the fact that his industrial policies gain jobs in the U.S., improve wages, improve benefits. And that's why we're endorsing President Biden.
Oh, I see.
The timing of the transaction announcement by Nippon is their timing, not the president's nor ours.
What is the response of the regular USW members towards the potential Nippon Steel purchase? Where do they agree or differ with leaderships?
Our members are fully supporting our position that Nippon is not a qualified successor under our collective bargaining agreement.
Is there no difference between leadership and the regular members?
There is not.
Great. And Nippon Steel is aiming to complete the acquisition by September. Should President Biden block the acquisition even if it is approved in the review process by CFIUS and Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States?
The CFIUS process is not one that we have any public knowledge of, so I can't really respond to that.
All right. President Trump has reiterated his desire to block the acquisition immediately. How would you evaluate his stance?
President Trump, is that what you
Yes.
said? Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Trump is in no position at this point to make any decision on that, so I can't comment.
Is there no possibility to gain Nippon Steel gain US Steel as of now?
As of now, I would say the transaction will not be approved.